Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Amanda. Thank you so much for tuning in. All of the products that will be used in today's video will be conveniently linked for you in the description box below. No need to go searching for these items, just click on the link and make your purchase. Now let's get started. Merry Christmas and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to the video today. So as you could tell from the thumbnail, we are making Mama and Minnie coordinating Christmas tumblers. So we're going to be using these UV DTFs, and we are also going to work with some vinyl. I will have all of the products listed and linked for you in the description box so you can easily find these products should you choose to replicate this design. So you can use however many glitter colors you would like. I just did a mixture of 3 per color. We're working with pinks and greens today to sort of coordinate with our UV DTF. And I'm not sure what the ratio was, but I will definitely have the glitter colors listed for you. But again, you can use as many or as little as you'd like. And then we've already sanded our tumblers, and I'm just going to take some electrical tape and place on the bottom of the large tumbler, because for this tumbler, I think I'm going to leave the bottom stainless steel. However, I do wind up covering the stainless steel in epoxy, and I am not sure why. I could have just left the bottom exposed with stainless steel, but I don't know. For some reason, I did cover the stainless steel with epoxy. Either way, if you wanted to glitter the bottom or put vinyl on the bottom, you totally can. Or if you just want to leave it exposed, stainless steel, you can totally do that as well. But moving on to the main part of the tumblers, I'm going to show you the difference in applying your glitters without paint first, and then what the glitters look like if you apply paint prior to adding your glitters. So first of all, we are going to divide our tumbler into 2 different sections. Because of the curve on this tumbler, it would be really difficult to apply the vinyl over the whole entire tumbler. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our trimming tool and make a line around the entire tumbler to section off the vinyl section and the glittered section. And then once your line has been drawn on your tumbler, you can go ahead and lay down your electrical tape. I like to use electrical tape for curved tumblers because it is very flexible and will adhere to the curve of the tumbler really well, whereas like painter's tape is not going to make that real crisp line on your tumbler. Now you're ready to apply your glitter, and you can apply your glitter however you would like. You can use Mod Podge, you can use glitter glue, you can use epoxy, and that is the way that I'm going to apply the glitter on this tumbler. And because I'm applying the glitter with the epoxy method, I did go ahead and get some painter's tape and cover the bottom portion of the tumbler because I do not want any of that epoxy dripping over into the bottom section. So go ahead and wrap the bottom of your tumbler in painter's tape And once the epoxy and glitter has been applied, go ahead and remove that painter's tape, or you can set a timer and remove it like 20 minutes later, but just be sure that one, you don't forget to remove the tape, and two, if you're using a fast setting epoxy, you will want to set that timer for a lot less than 20 minutes. So it just depends on which epoxy you're using. I'm using a regular setting epoxy from A Little Extra Incorporated. And so, 20 minutes would be fine for that one. And you can apply your glitter however you would like. I'm going to sort of do like a random scatter method. We're going to do a large green section, which is where our UV DTF will be applied. And then we're going to do some smaller, like green and pink, almost striped sections. You can ombre this or however you want to apply it. It's totally up to you. This is strictly for inspiration and some learning along the way. So let's go ahead and apply the glitter, and then we will move on to the next step. once that has cured or your glitter glue has dried, whichever you're using, then you're ready to add your vinyl. And what I did prior to adding my vinyl is I went ahead and sealed in my glitter. You can do this with some glitter glue and water. You can also use a clear spray paint such as Rust-Oleum 2 times clear. However you want to seal the glitter, you can also use a polyacrylic. So whichever way that you seal your glitter, go ahead and allow that to dry. And then I just took a brush and ran it across the tumbler just to make sure any loose glitters that might be there would fall off, because after we add our vinyl, we're going to go ahead and add our first coat of epoxy, and you don't want any of that glitter shifting over into the vinyl area. Also, when applying your vinyl, cut it a little bit wider than your measurements. For example, my measurement for this area on the tumbler was 3 inches, and I cut it right at 3 inches. But because of the shape of the tumbler, when you're working around in a circular pattern, the vinyl is going to want to shift slightly. And it did leave a gap between the vinyl and the glitter area, which was fine because I was planning on adding some striping there anyway. But just for the future, cut the vinyl a little bit larger than your actual measurement, because you can always go back and trim that vinyl up and remove the excess that you do not need, but you can't add any back. And honestly, it just takes some finagling and some patience, a little bit of heat from your heat gun, and just working with it. Now, again, if you do cut your vinyl a little larger, you may not have as difficult of a time as I did, because I was truly trying to keep it in between the glitter line and my black electrical tape line. But just work with it. Have patience. Remember to use a good, durable vinyl that you can reposition and that you can pull a little bit. You don't want to stretch it too much that it distorts the image on the vinyl, but you can pull on it just a little bit and get it to do what you want it to do. Again, if you kind of heat up the vinyl with your heat gun just a little bit, you can manipulate it as well. So just take your time and be patient, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes for me, perfection is my enemy, because the more that I try to work with something and want it to be perfect, it seems like the worst it turns out. So just have fun and enjoy it. And this design, this pattern, these colors, you can, do this with a multitude of different, holidays or themes. So again, use this as inspiration. I hope you can learn something from it. But, more than that, I really hope you just get inspired. And once you have your vinyl applied, you can go ahead and add your first coat of epoxy. I believe I used 35 milliliters on this tumbler because of the cuts of glitter that I had. I had, chunky and mix. So I went ahead and did 35 milliliters for my first coat. And while that is curing, we're going to go ahead and jump to the mini tumbler. And it's not a mini as far as like the ounces. It's a 12 ounce, but I'm calling it a mini because it's like, a little girl mini. But anyway, so this one has been painted, and I'm going to show you the difference between what the glitter looks like on an unpainted tumbler versus a painted tumbler. Now, you can paint this the color of your glitter. In fact, I suggest that you do that. The thing is, I did not have any green paint for the green glittered portion, so I just went ahead and spray painted the entire tumbler white, which later I realized I didn't have to do the entire tumbler because we are putting vinyl on the top half of the tumbler. So go ahead and mark off your sections on your tumbler and only paint the portion where the glitter is going to go, because if you add the vinyl over top of a painted tumbler and you have to remove the vinyl for whatever reason, maybe to reposition it, maybe it's crooked, it will pull up the paint. So go ahead and just paint the portion needed and then go ahead and apply your glitter. Again, you can apply it using Mod Podge, glitter glue, the epoxy method, however you want to apply your glitter. And we're going to do sort of the same thing. Not really an ombre, but just kind of like a random scatter mix. I didn't want it to be perfect on either one of these tumblers. I sort of wanted it to just be almost random as to where the glitters were going to fall. So do however you like, and let's go ahead and get this cup glittered. So you can see how the pink really shows up on this tumbler with the white paint behind it. And it would probably be even more prominent had I painted it pink. But again, I didn't have any green paint to coordinate. Now look at this tumbler with no painting behind it. Look how faint the pink is. So this can just kind of show you the difference between painting your tumbler prior to adding your glitter or not painting your tumbler. It's whichever look you're going for. Both work just fine. It's just the glitters are not going to show up as deep in saturation as they would if the paint were to be applied before the glitter. So while the glitter is curing on the smaller tumbler, we have the larger Mama tumbler here. It has been sanded, smooth, and we're going to go ahead and add our vinyl. Now, this is a template that I believe I got from Creative Fabrica. If you are not familiar with them, I do have a link. Check them out. I mean, there are so many things that you can get from them, and if you have a subscription, then it is unlimited as to what you can access and obtain, because you just pay your monthly or yearly subscription fee, and then you can download as many items as you would like. So we're going to go ahead and add this pink vinyl. And again, because of the curve of the tumbler, it is something that you do have to kind of work with when applying it to the tumbler. And it's not that difficult if you cut the open areas between the vinyl squares. That will sort of help you with your transfer tape to be able to adjust where the vinyl lies on your tumbler. And you can also work in sections like I'm doing here. And then after I applied the vinyl, I just went back and kind of repositioned a couple of pieces that looked a little bit askew to me. And we're just applying this to the pink and green striped portion of the tumbler. We're still leaving the green, solid green section open because that's where our decal is going to be applied. And once that vinyl is applied, you can go ahead and add your next coat of epoxy. I have already done so, and I have also already added some vinyl striping to both of these tumblers off camera. For the small tumbler, I did just do the same thing. I added the pink vinyl checkerboard to the bottom of the tumbler, as well as added the vinyl presents to the top of the tumbler. It has epoxy and vinyl striping, and now we're ready for our next step. You can, opt out of doing this or not. It doesn't make a huge impact other than when you are up close with the tumbler. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to be adding this sparkle dust from Sandy's Organized Chaos, and we're adding that to our epoxy. We are going to be using UV resin for this step because what I want to do is just sort of mimic what ice looks like, after it has snowed and it freezes. And we're just going to be adding a little bit to each one of the pink squares. And then we will do a few at a time and add our UV resin and use our UV lamp to cure it. And we will do that all the way around both tumblers. Once you have that step completed, you can go ahead and add another coat of epoxy. Be sure to sand the rim of your tumbler in between your coats of epoxy, so at the end you do not have a lot of cleanup to do. And you can just barely see where I've added that UV resin and sparkle dust. But part of the reason is because I did not realize that on my camera I had an epoxy smudge, and so it looks kind of blurry in the center of the camera. But again, in person, when you see the tumbler up close, that just a little bit of sparkle on those squares kind of gives it that extra something that I believe that it needed. And you can either opt out of doing that, or you can also add some thin vinyl striping to just add another layer of dimension. It's totally up to you, but I thought it looked really cute with that just little bit of sparkle on each square. And now we're going to add our UV DTF. You can also apply vinyl here, or some other kind of decal. I love the UV DTF decals because you apply them and then you remove that top layer of clear transfer tape, and you don't have to worry about if your fingers get fingerprints onto the tape, because it's not going to show up because you're going to be removing that top layer. And you can also add like a bleach spot before adding your UV DTF. You can do that by using paint or white vinyl or some other kind of UV DTF. But for me, I didn't mind the green on green because, again, in person, you can see the UV DTF enough. I mean, it's legible. But that is another option if you want to add something underneath the UV DTF. Now, another thing about the UV DTFs, they are white backed. So that means that they can be applied to any color, any surface. And I will have a link to where I purchased my UV DTFs for you in the description box. So here are the finished tumblers. This is the mini tumbler. We do have the black vinyl striping, as well as the UV DTF that says Merry Mini. And here is the mama tumbler. It says Merry Mama. And it also has some black vinyl striping. They are different, but they coordinate. So I think this is super cute. I wanted to get this video out prior to Christmas, but as the famous saying around our house goes, it is what it is. Time just got away from me. Nonetheless, here are the completed tumblers. I hope you enjoyed this design. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas, and I hope everyone has a safe and happy New Year. Until next time, thank you and have a blessed day.